Okay, so this is Postman, and this is just kind of a walkthrough of Postman, the things that we can do with it, and some different tools for actually creating our projects. Okay, there's a couple main things that I would say are important to know when navigating Postman. The most important one, well, there's quite a few, but some of the biggest ones is this portion right here. This is your HTTP methods, and so we can go and switch through the different methods that we want. There are 4 that you really need to know. You've got your get, that is for reading everything. You've got your post, that's for creating. You've got your put, which is your editing. And then you've got your delete. So this is your CRUD right here. Those 4 are going to be sort of your main thing that you're going to work through. Patch is also kind of an edit as well. There's just some nuancy differences. Patch, you don't have to do everything, whereas put, if you're going to edit, you have to put all of the information. So we use put, but patch is also available there for you to kind of utilize. Okay, so now that we have this get method, what we do is we put our server route, right? And so as we have to make sure our route is running in order for this to actually work. So we've already checked to make sure our route's running correct.
I know my server's running.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. Your server's running. Okay, so you're good to go. So now what we do is we can, since we have this, you're gonna need HTTP:// in front of localhost.
Okay.
Perfect. Now, when you do this, you can send your request, and this is just a tool that's sending a request to our server. And so you can do send.
Okay, I could do, sorry. Just my stuff. Send.
Yeah, send it. So it's sending the request, and then it will get something back. Now, when we get something back, we see a few things, right? We see first off the joke. That's got an ID. So you have this ID right here. This is your unique identifier. So with MongoDB, it's very different than your SQL database that started like 1 and just kept going. It's just this random string here. And so that's your unique identifier. And then this --v is your version. It's from MongoDB as well. But one of the main things to check is this status sign right here. A 200 means it was a good request. You're good to go. Great job. Okay. Yeah. And if you hover over it, it'll kind of tell you. If there was an issue, whether it was like it didn't know, let's say we were making a request. Let's try to just take the S off of jokes and then make a request. Yeah. And then let's say. So that route doesn't exist, I'm assuming. So we get this 404 not found. What that's saying is, hey, we're making a request, but the server, when I got to here and said, this is the route I want to go to, it's saying, hey, that doesn't exist. I don't have that. There's no such thing as API/joke because it's jokes. So you get this 404 not found. Another one you'll get is 400, which is a bad request. There could be other reasons for that, but that's something that is important to know. Okay, now what we can do is we can actually, let's put the S back on jokes.
Okay.
And then let's, I like to just, yeah, perfect.
Hi, keyboard. I'm not sure if I have a lag or anything, but like I'm clicking all of my keyboards and
it looks like, I don't know if I see like a.
Do you see 7 sevens or 7 S's?
No, I see like what seems to be like a crosshair and then dots.
Yeah.
I just see joke, API/joke.
I don't know where this crosshair is coming from. This is odd, but
yeah, see, you might be editing or annotating.
Instead of actually going through.
Yeah, so it might be on your left side. There's a like a bar. Usually it's on the left side of your screen. There's like a weird zoom annotation bar. So
Okay.
maybe that's it.
I don't want to annotate.
You might have to pull up in Zoom and
Mouse.
see.
There
Yeah, the mouse.
we
Perfect.
go.
There we go. That's what it was. Okay. So again, we have a good GET request. We're good to go. We see this. Now, what we can do is highlight this route. I like to just highlight and copy and paste.
Okay.
And let's come here and we're going to create a new one. And I like to have multiple. You could technically just change this. You could change the HTTP method, but you're going to go back and forth. So I like to always just kind of have a couple tabs open. Don't get crazy with it, but you can have a couple tabs open. Cool. So let's go ahead and paste that here, or I guess you could have clicked it. And let's change the request type. So instead of this, let's do posts. So that way we can actually send some data to the backend. Now, there's a couple things that we need in order for us to send data, right? And if you think about a form, or if you have a post request, anything that we've done, we typically need not just the route, but we need to send some data with it, right? Usually it's our input data from our form. The way that that comes over when we're dealing with Postman is we need to go and write that. So what we do is we go to this body section right here. This is emulating our form because we would have a rec.body whenever we're sending it over. Same thing. The way that we then have to do it is there's a bunch of different types for what we're doing. You're going to click this raw. And then the last thing you need to do is you need to come over to where it's text, and we're dealing with JSON. So we're going to change that to JSON.
Right.
Perfect.
Everything's a JSON object.
Everything is, yep, we're in JSON. So now what we do is we can actually go in and write our object. The way that we do that is we start with a curly bracket. Open and close. Yep, perfect. And then usually what I just do is do a return. Yep. And so now what we have to do is we have to put our keys and our values that we want to send over. So the way that it is in Postman is you make your keys a string and then your values be whatever your values are. So usually what I like to do is I would press return one more time.
Oops, didn't mean that.
Perfect. Yep. Yep. Great. So then what you can do is go to your code.
Okay.
And let's go to your model. I think you actually
Here.
click search. Yep, perfect. So we have a setup and a punchline. So we need to make sure that when we're sending over that data, it needs to have a key of setup with some value that's of type string and a key of punchline that's a value of type string. So let's go ahead and do that.
Okay. Do I need to copy the values as well? Do I need to copy this exact setup, or do I just need to say setup : and then enter it?
Exactly. So we do setup, but the keys are in string, so they need to have quotations around them.
Okay.
So for the keys, yeah, they just need to be like that. Perfect.
I think in Will.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy, and just correct me if I'm wrong here, but obviously this is like an object. But the reason that keys need to be wrapped in strings here is because it's like BSON binary standard, right? So in order to input data into MongoDB from Postman, we just have to wrap our keys in quotes as well.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Yep. So we need that second quotation after setup.
Okay. Before or after the colon, doesn't matter.
Sorry, after. So before the colon. So this, just your key itself, because these are just key value pairs. Just your key itself has to be a string.
Okay.
Perfect. And then now, because we said it was type string, whatever value we put after the colon also needs to be in quotation because that's the type that we're saying. Perfect. So now we can say the setup.
Okay.
Perfect. And then now we'll put a, because there's two portions of it, right? We have a setup and a punchline. So now you'll put a comma to separate your keys. And then let's go ahead and set up a new key value pair where the key is punchline.
Okay.
And then you can keep it on one line. Usually it's a little bit easier to, after the comma, just do a, yep.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
then punchline.
And then, yep, because it was type string, we also need to have this. Perfect. And so now, because it's raw JSON in a body, we can send it. And then we should see some sort of response. Cool. So we got a 200 OK. And so it looks like what we're doing is we are responding with the ID and the version. We're just responding with the entity itself.
Okay.
So let's try this. We know that this is 1.6 or A16. Let's go back to our Git. This is usually what I'll do whenever I'm testing.
Okay.
Perfect.
Mhm.
And we can see that, hey, A11 and A0F, so those are different than what we just created. So normally what I would do is I would send again and just make sure, hey, is it coming through? Yep. And here we have these values. Now,
Cool.
the only thing I'm a little bit confused about is we don't have the setup or the punchline. So usually when we're getting all of this information, we should be also getting our setup and our punchline. So what that tells me is maybe in our code, we have it set up a little bit differently. So let's go back to my code or your code.
Okay.
And let's see, we've got our new Mongo schema that's got this. Okay. So what this tells me is because your model is set up correctly and you're passing in your joke schema, everything is good, you're exporting it. That might tell me that in your controller. So let's go, let's click these two pages on the top left.
Yeah.
To get us out of that search thing. Cool. Let's get to my controller. Great. So let's scroll up to the top. We should have just find all jokes. Jokes is all the jokes. Something went wrong. Error. Okay, so we're bringing in this. We're calling it all the jokes. We're responding with a JSON of all the jokes. Let's go to your create because it's not saving it. It's creating that, but it's not. Okay. Newly created joke. Okay. So this is the issue. Well, no, because you have your rec.body.
It's the problem that the top doesn't have the rec.body because here the rec isn't highlighted.
No, so the rec.body is when we're making a request, we're adding our body, right? That's the actual values, which is what we did. And that's what I first thought was maybe you didn't pass in the body, but we are passing in the body. So does the class see anything that I don't just off the jump? And we can keep looking at this.
Joseph, can you scroll back up to your find all?
Yeah. Oh, opposite way. Sorry.
No, you're fine. No worries. Okay, so we got find all jokes. Search for some jokes.
Can you go to your routes for me?
Yeah. So here.
It's like I've definitely been there before when it's returning the ID and not my keys. I'm trying to.
Create new joke. So, and then let's go back to your controller. So find all jokes and then create new joke. Find all jokes. Okay. And then create new joke. You're passing it rec.body, which is exactly what you should be doing. Then what happens when we find one? I see that you have find one by ID. So nothing's jumping off for me on why that shouldn't. Because what I'm communicating is what it should be is whenever we create a new joke and
Mhm.
we when it's done, it should say joke and then it should have all the joke information.
Right.
So let's real quick. Do you have MongoDB set up on your computer?
Like as an application?
Yeah. Do you have like Compass DB?
I don't think I do.
That might be the issue because what's happening is it's trying to create a connection to your database. That's definitely
Mhm.
probably the issue. It's just trying to create a connection. And so, but why would it give me an ID?
Joseph, can you hover over on line 25? Can you hover over newly created joke? I just want to make sure it'll. Yeah, just hover over it and see what it pops up. Okay, so we see the setup and the punchline.
Sorry.
Okay, cool. So third key should be in there. Punchline, yeah. It's looking good.
Can you go to your config file?
Yeah. We got like a
Connection to the database, which, yeah, if you didn't have it, then it would tell me that it would say that we couldn't connect.
I did have an issue with it before. It took me a couple tries to get to the connection to the database up here because I needed to download it all properly. And so I like killed the server, ran it back up again, and here we are. And it did connect this like the second or third time. But I don't really know.
Can you go to your package JSON for me?
Mhm.
Want to make sure we have Mongoose. Okay. Because something's telling me that there is an issue with your MongoDB. It's got to be that's why it's not taking your schema. If we go to Mongo, can we go to the model one more time? I'm sorry, I'm making you
No, that's fine.
go all the way around. Mongoose require Mongoose. Mongoose.schema. Yeah, but it's not. Can you download MongoDB Compass for me?
Yeah, just as like a web browser, or do you need me to do it in my terminal?
So you can do it in your web browser. So if I here, let me. Use Google MongoDB Compass. Yeah, maybe the second one, I think. Yeah. Because it is. Yeah, do the second one and then scroll down to the MongoDB Compass download. So the next one.
Oh, the next one, shell download.
Yeah, that one.
Phone had a comment here in the chat about the model setup. And Phone, I agree. I think you can do it both ways. I don't think there's too much of an issue. But I mean, it's something we could honestly test.
Yeah, that's just because I think we could test it that way. The other way just allows you to put any, like when we want our validations and stuff.
Anyone else noticing that the screen is gray? and
Yeah,
not letting me click on stuff.
scrolling up, there might be something.
There's probably a pop-up ad.
Yeah, something weird. Can you also go to your schema? Do you have timestamps on?
Sure. Let's look at my schema.
Yeah, so after this purple bracket.
Yeah.
So on line 10, after the
Mhm.
bracket,
Yeah.
we want to put comma,
Okay.
and then we want to do a new parenthesis. Or
New curly.
quotation- or,
Okay.
curly boy, sorry.
Okay.
And then we're going to put timestamps. And then colon true. This is what's going to give us our created at and our updated at.
Okay.
Perfect. So that's good.
I'm gonna try downloading this.
Okay. Yeah, because what this is going to do is it's just going to be a visualization of what we have. And so we can see, is the database actually saving our information? You just want to press the download on the left. Yeah, perfect. Is it actually saving the information and maybe we're just viewing it differently, or is it not even saving the information correctly? So that's what we're trying to do here. Because then it allows us to say, okay, it's in our model or some sort of saving issue versus, oh, we're just not calling and get like the information's there. We're just getting the wrong information. So we're trying to basically segment and say, where's our issue at? If that makes sense.
Right.
You might have to go into your Finder and then applications. So
Yeah.
if you just click the bottom left, should be your little smiley face.
Right.
And then go to applications. And then, yeah, there we have MongoDB Compass.
Cool.
Probably gonna give you a pop-up that this was downloaded on the internet. Are you sure you want?
Yeah. Yes, I do want that.
Here it is.
Give it to me, please.
Yes, put it straight in my veins.
Great.
Perfect. So let's go ahead and connect.
Okay.
And what this does is this is that connection string that we're doing in our config file. This is just us connecting to the same database. So, okay. You can just click got it on that pop-up.
Okay.
But on our left, what the most important thing is we see that there's this jokes DB in our databases. So let's click on it. And let's click on jokes. On the left side, sorry. Okay. So yeah, when it is creating, it is not doing anything other than creating an object. It's saying there is an object, but it is not saving any of the data. I don't think that this will be it, but can we try going to Postman one more time? And let's make sure our code is saved in our model, because now that we added the timestamps, I don't think the timestamps will, I wouldn't anticipate it doing that, but now that we've added timestamps, true, I want to see if we create a new one, if that's actually going to create.
So you want to post a new one?
Yeah, let's try it. But I think we can keep that information because in theory it hasn't been saved.
Right.
So
just send it.
Yeah, before we press send, let's go to our model and our code and make sure that everything's saved. So in our actual code base.
A model in our code.
Boom.
Perfect.
Okay, so now that we have timestamps true, we've saved it. Let me just check this one more time. Const joke, mongoose.model, joke schema. Yeah, that's correct. New mongoose schema, mongoose require mongoose. We've already checked to make sure mongoose is there. Okay, so now, yeah, let's go to our Postman and let's go try to send this again. And let's see what we get back. Let's go to our.
I feel like it's got to be in the controller somewhere, somehow, with how we're using the res and
Yeah.
JSON and everything.
Yeah. Can you go to your controller?
Yeah.
Also that exports. Create new joke. Can you go to your server.js?
Yeah, I looked at that. Yep.
Okay, so we have mongoose, require mongoose. We don't need mongoose there.
We don't need it up top.
Nope, we do not.
Yep.
We've got const express. We're instantiating that. We're listening on port 8000. We hard coded that. Use express JSON, comma, express URL encoded extended true. It's good. We need that. We need the require config. Mongoose config. App.listen. Try putting a So I have a curly bracket around my console log,
Okay.
and we're missing a parenthesis. That's what it is.
We're missing a parenthesis at the end.
Oh, unless you have it. Maybe if you scroll to the right, does it keep going? Oh no, you have it. Okay.
So do you want me to do a curly bracket around the console log?
Yeah, try to do it around console log and then before the yellow parenthesis.
Right.
Around the whole, yeah, perfect. I mean, that's just making it that.
I see. Yeah, I see this little.
So that should,
No, it's gone.
yeah, that should be fine. Okay. So this is fine. And then our config file, if we can go to config one more time, I just want to make sure it's not one of these nuancy things. We have require mongoose. Yep, we're doing that. Mongoose is spelled correctly. Mongoose.connect, MongoDB, ://127. JokesDB. URL true, unified topology true. This works because we know it does because it tells us. Okay, so yeah, it's got to be in the controller. Let's go to create new joke.
Create new joke. All right.
Module.expose to create new joke. Fixing a rec and a res.
Joseph, can you, in your create new joke, after line 25, make a new line and we can console log newly created joke. So maybe we can at least see if we get the key values to come back in our console.
And then on line 23, right under rec.body, can you console log that as well? The rec.body. Perfect.
Yep.
All right.
You want to run it again?
Let's go run it again.
Let's go back to this.
Yep.
This is the exact same thing. Just gonna send it.
Okay, so now let's go back to our console.
Check that terminal.
Mm-hmm.
This console.
Maybe in your output. Scroll up. So yeah, keep scrolling. Okay.
This is when it wasn't fired up before. I ran it a second time, and the most recent stuff was at the bottom.
Sure.
Can you just Control C and kill your server?
Yeah, sure.
Spin it up again. If you just do, yeah, where's your server running? I guess would be a.
It's running in.
This is your output. So what you'll want to do is, okay, so maybe this is the issue. Let's go into your terminal.
Okay, so like my computer's terminal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so here's what it is. This is what we. Oh, I do not know where it's running then. Okay, so let's navigate to wherever this is at. Do you remember
Okay.
how to navigate?
Yeah, I got a CD over to it.
Can you type ls? Because it looks like you're in server bash. Okay, so you're already in it.
Mhm.
So let's just type nodemon server.js. I'm wondering if that's the issue, that your server actually wasn't running, but I don't know why it would. And we were just going off the output. So go ahead and run that. Okay, so now let's go run that. Let's go press send again. Okay. It says cannot read properties of undefined.
It was pointing at create new joke, I think, up top.
So this is, yeah,
Right there.
let's go to your server itself, your terminal.
Okay.
Little
My
black
terminal.
box. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So it says, so we have the, okay, perfect. So this is what we wanted. So it looks like, I think the issue was that we were reading the output and we weren't, the actual server itself wasn't running.
Okay.
So we're getting this, which is our rect.body, which is great. That's what we want to pass through. Now what it's saying is it cannot read properties of undefined reading then. So it's not liking our book.create. So let's go to our code. It's not liking our promise.
Okay.
So, oh, that's probably because we did a console log. Let's go ahead. Here's what happened. Because I had to do a console log, in theory, this joke.create rec body, if you put this on a new line, really it's the same as if this was attached. It's called daisy chained, or yeah, it's chained to
Mhm.
where this is based off of this object.
Ah,
This console log here, I broke it. So we know it works now. Let's get rid of this line 24. So that's why the then wasn't working. It's because it's saying, hey, okay, if I would have had .create, that gives me an object, and then I can do something with that object. It has that property. But because I had this console log, it was like, no, fam, that doesn't work. Okay, so let's go back. We're good. Let's make sure our server's running. Now let's go try again to send it. Okay, there we go. So
Huzzah.
our server wasn't on. So that's one thing we'll test. And we now know moving forward, we'll test our server, make sure it's up and running. I saw that you were using Code Runner. That's not going to work for a server. So the little play sign, you're going to have to go into the terminal, whether you do that on the VS Code itself or in the terminal itself. Because what it did is I think it ran the file. You happen to run it. You ran on the page. This is what happened is you basically were on the config file. You ran the file. It printed off everything. that worked. So it looked like it because it technically ran it once, but it wasn't creating a server. It just ran it one time, made the connection, and then got a promise back. And then that's what it did. So
Gotcha.
you can do it on your actual terminal on VS Code, or you can do it in the terminal. I like the little black box, little terminal. I like using that. It makes a little bit more sense. Plus, when we start like today/tomorrow, when we start dealing with, we're going to start doing 2 servers running at the same time. It can get a little bit confusing if you do either. I like to do one in VS Code and one in my actual terminal, but I definitely won't do 2 VS Code. So, but now we're good. We are able to send stuff. We're able to see and get back the setup in line. So if we were to go to the get,
Right.
Yep.
Get at the top.
And then we send. We should still have all of those entities, but if we scroll down, we have a good one that actually works correctly.
Yay.
Yay. So I think that was honestly just the issue is maybe I don't know why it was still creating an instance on your database. I'm not sure what was going on because it tells me that it was still, because it kept, I don't know, that was weird. But yeah, we're good to go now. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. Run the server in the terminal, not the output. Don't press the play button. It only does one thing.
Yeah. But I think other than that, you're good to go. Your code looks great. And then the other thing too is just when you're creating models, make sure you do the timestamps, because what you'll see is timestamps equals true gives us by default these 2 values that become really important, because you can think about from like a user perspective. If I want to know if a user's been there for a year or not, I can see this created at, and I can have some little helper function that runs every day that says, give me all the users that today is their 1 year, anniversary. And then I can send out a marketing email that says, hey, congratulations, you've been with us for 1 year. We're so excited, blah, blah, whatever. And people are like, oh, wow, they know me. It's like, no, we just know you created that. And then updated at is big when it comes to like user management, or if you want to think about like passwords, right? You can be like, hey, or if somebody's like, oh, my account was edited, and you can go to the updated at, and you're like, yeah, it was done 2 days ago. And they're like, I was in the Bahamas 2 days ago. It wasn't me. Like, oh, okay, cool. So there's other reasons we might want to know what this updated at is. And so that timestamps :true just gives us these 2 values. And then moving forward, if we were to update this, it'll automatically track this updated at and change it. Cool. Anybody else have questions on that? I mean, I think we figured it out, but were there any questions?
A good little debugging practice and Postman walk around.
Yeah, that was a great job. Great job. Okay, I'll stop the recording here.